Thank you for the floor. And I would like to begin by mentioning that I'm a delegate in the Congress of Local and Regional Authorities, and there is incredible work that is being done by institutions such as the Council of Europe in really tackling elections. And I would also like to mention a quote that really struck me from yesterday's plenary. And this is a quote that says that elections are a celebration of democracy. And this struck me because as a young person, I've never felt that in my life. And this is striking because when we think about elections, we really have to think, what kind of environment is it? Because for most young people, they feel that this is a hostile environment, a stressful environment. So young people are wondering, why should I even participate? And if I'm not, why should I even participate? Then the next question becomes, why should I run for office? When we think about the people who are elected, often we see that there is underrepresentation of marginalized group and the voices that most need to be heard. And it's important that we link that back to elections and what kind of environment we are creating. Sabina mentioned the importance of rules of conduct. Pierre Lane touched on the rules of representation, especially when it comes to migrants and marginalized groups. Iris touched on rules of engagement and misinformation. And Tomislav on rules of winning, and unfortunately sometimes the reality of the use of the tactic of fear, and also rules of education. And I want to mention the fact that most people in our societies have a rough idea of what those rules are and what values we stand for. For example, most people know what misinformation is on a rough level. Most people know what diversity is on a rough level. But again, we see that those key terms and those key values are just becoming vague words and catchphrases that people no longer identify with. And it's crucial to keep this in mind when we talk about elections, because it is no longer about just educating people, but also realizing what does it mean for those values. And I was very happy because all of the panelists mentioned the need for systematic change and for creating systems and institutions, because we need organized efforts when it comes to tackling misinformation, when it comes to tackling the use of hate speech against people of all backgrounds. And I really want to emphasize on this, and my question to the panelists is, outside of education and outside of building systems that deal with diversity and hate speech particularly, and systems that deal with the rules and how do we keep those rules open, what are other kinds of cohesive solutions that work on rebuilding the trust of the people and the trust of the electoral process in this? And as one last thing for this conversation I want to mention is the fact that all of us in this room, and I include myself in this, we are elites of some sort because we hold some knowledge and we also hold spaces such as this one where we can discuss these issues. And when we talk about elections, most people feel a kind of despair for elections and they don't know who to reach out to, they don't know what resources to use, and they don't even think that there is a space where they can voice themselves. And this is where, for example, the Citizen Assembly mentioned and other measures come in. And therefore, I would like to phrase this question in the context that we are citizens, but we're also citizens who hold some kind of power that most other citizens do not hold. And thank you very much to our panelists.